Hello everybody, this is Stephen Howson. This is Full Time Devils. This is the Bournemouth preview. I'm delighted to be joined by Jamie Jackson, Manchester United football correspondent, and we're going to tell us about, and John Shin, all the way from New York. Apologies that it took us a little bit of a while to get going, and it's my fault. The car wouldn't start with a cold. Apologies. So let's get on straight with it. So, Jamie, you've written about Manchester United before, but this is your first foray into fiction. Am I right?
That's right, yeah. It's called Nighttime Cool. It's about a bent Metropolitan Police detective who likes ripping off coke dealers. His son detests him. He loves his son. They decide to try and do a bent coke deal. Both of them find out that the other one knows that each of them are trying to basically bring the other one down because they don't like each other. And it involves, as these stories often do, a porno impresario, a spiv, a dodgy DJ. All the things that are in all of our normal orbit, but it is on a crowdfunding model with Unbound. So basically what that means is I have to raise £4,000 worth of sales of the book for it to be published. I'm about 60% of the way there, so it looks like it's going to happen. So if anyone wants to have a look, go to the page and away you go.
That sounds absolutely mental. The link will be in the description below. So if you're interested in finding out the real depths of the back of Jamie's mind, then I guess hit the link below and go and have a look at that one. We're also joined by John. All right, John. Right, so let's get stuck straight into the first thing that we're going to talk about today, and that is January transfers. Now, I spoke to you in the summer, and you pretty much told me what was going to happen in the summer. The Griezmann one didn't happen. I think we all know why that didn't happen. And I don't think that was through any duff info that you was getting. So, Jamie, who are we buying in January then?
I'll tell you what, who I think he would like. I'm not saying it's going to happen. Is Ozil at Arsenal. Yeah, Mesut Ozil. He's had him before at Real Madrid. I think he's once described him, at that time as the best number 10 in the world. You've got a problem. I mean, United have got a problem there, I'd say. Mkhitaryan's basically been bombed out, in and out of the actual squad, never mind the side recently. And if he that was the kind of the player he wanted, as you say, Griezmann there. I know he's not exactly that sort of player, but he did want that, a kind of second forward player in the summer. As I say, I'm not saying he will get Ozil, but I tell you what, I don't know what you gents think, but I think, 6 months to go on his contract, he could play it. I think in a United side rather than an Arsenal side, a Mourinho side that works a little bit harder and all the rest of it. I think he could do a really, really good job. I rate him. I know a lot of people, or it's mixed, but I think so. That sort of player, if anyone at all, I would suggest.
I get that we're going for him. I'd also heard in the summer that we'd bid for him and Arsenal told us to sling it. That's what I'd heard in the summer, which if we've gone back in for him, that stacks up that was probably legit what we was hearing in the summer, that Mourinho wanted him and Arsenal didn't want to sell. We might have to force their hand with him having so little left on his contract. But I just don't understand why is he that much different to Juan Mata? Not really for me. Is he that much different to Mkhitaryan? Again, I think those three players, you can put them in a line and say they sort of offer you the same thing, really. He's not going. If you put him into the team that lost at weekend, does he massively transform it? I'm not sure he does. John, do you think we need to buy in January? Who would you like to see us get in?
I think after the City result, I'm pretty sure fans were probably taking to the streets and going like, Mourinho, open Ed Woodward, open your checking account. We're going to purchase 3 or 4 players. I think he's much easier said than done. It's January transfer window. I'm sure everybody knows it's a bit tricky. You have Champions League ties. You have issues with, price inflation. There's so much to in terms of complications that you can't just jump into the market and go, you know what, I'm going to buy this, this, and this. And with that being said, I really wouldn't mind. Like Jamie Jackson said, I really wouldn't mind somebody like Ozil's character, somebody like Ozil's qualities. And you did mention something about Mkhitaryan and Mata sort of having similarities with Ozil. But Ozil on the ball has that sort of deftness, that sort of lethality that Mkhitaryan and Mata has been lacking. Mkhitaryan during his Dortmund days has been fantastic on the ball. He has that ability to be able to take that ball and drive forward. Mata during his Chelsea days even, when he sort of got past the defender within half turn, he was open with plenty of space down the middle with options, but it's not a similar case, and I think Ozil should be able to sort of open up that forward option a little bit more and help that sort of creativity alongside Pogba, and even with the lack of Pogba at times.
I kind of agree, but I also think that if we are going to go and try and get something in January, we should be looking to add something different to our squad that's going to give us different options. Right, the next thing we're going to talk about then is Lukaku. So he's not scored essentially since the very first week in October. We're looking at 2 months without scoring. It could be 3 by the end. Is it a worry for everybody? Should we be worried? Is this just a rough patch? How much of that can we put down to lacking Pogba? Jamie, what do you think as a neutral?
Well, I personally think that he should be rested, if you want to call that, and give Rashford a go at centre forward. It's just not happening for him at the moment. I mean, the derby, it was just one of those. It was a complete cluster, what, of everything going wrong for him. He basically set up both City's goals, didn't he? Let's be honest. And there was a moment towards the end of it, in the second half, when the ball came to him, a sort of kind of innocuous header in the centre circle area, and he basically he just headed it the wrong way that he meant to do. It went to no one base. I just looked at it and thought, he needs a break. And just on Rashford, I'd just like to see him down the middle, or even Martial. But I think maybe more Rashford, just because he's a little bit more direct than Martial, maybe slightly, slightly faster. And I just think Lukaku, you talk about something different there, in terms of the transfer market. Maybe that would give United a slightly different dimension. Just to be able to use. I'm not saying drop him forever, of course I'm not. But I think it probably is, for me, the time to give him a rest.
Yeah, I can see that. John, what do you reckon? I've seen a lot of people saying he's a flop. Some people even saying sell him. Massive overreaction, do you think?
Massive overreaction. And I understand the frustration. Back when I think it was a few months ago when I visited Manchester to watch the home game against Tottenham, we won 1-0. And Adam asked me the question, John, do you think Lukaku should be sort of more criticized in terms of his performance? He has been hitting a dry patch of form. And I told him the same thing, and I'm going to say the same thing now. Strikers do hit a bad patch of form. It was really unfortunate that it was Lukaku that had to be in that position to make those errors of a clearance. But you can't direct all that blame at Lukaku. Granted, he should have made those finishes, but it just isn't a one-man issue. And I think this is sort of something that needs to be looked at as an entire unit. And for the fans to be destroying Lukaku, I think that's a little bit unfair. I understand the frustration. Don't get me wrong. When Lukaku was standing in front of Ederson, 4 yards in front of him, he needs to smash that some other direction. That's his job. You don't pay $75 million for a player to stand there and kick this ball straight into the dude's throat. That's not what we're paying for. But with that being said, we need to make sure we keep him sort of motivated, sort of inspired. If we drop him now, I think it might sort of really shake up his confidence. And I think Jose Mourinho, he's second to none when it comes to man management. I think he's got to really, really manage this situation very well. It's not easy. Nothing's happy. I'm not sitting here saying I'm very happy with Lukaku. As a matter of fact, I am not. But we need to handle the situation very well, and I think Jose Mourinho is a good guy, is the right man to do that.
I'm just going to ask some questions for you guys to bang into the comments. So I want to know Zlatan came scoring 55 goals for pretty much his entire career before he comes to Manchester United. He comes to Manchester United and he has a 12.5% conversion rate last season. Lukaku comes from a ridiculously clinical rate at Everton. He comes to this Manchester United side. When we're playing well, he's scoring goals. As soon as we lost that creative spark, he's almost gone to Zlatan's sort of conversion rate. There's no excuse for him missing against City. There's no excuse for the chance that he missed against Liverpool. But I also think that Lukaku's being criticised more so than Harry Kane when he misses chances that he should. I think Kane's been more consistent this season, so that's why he's getting away with it. But Morata missed a gilt-edged chance at weekend. Nobody's talking about it. I think people are going far too hard on Lukaku, and I think as I sort of alluded to earlier, United needs something different. We've got a guy that thrives on crosses and we're not crossing him the ball. And I think if we had someone that could deliver good crosses on a regular, consistent basis, you might see more out of Lukaku. And that's what, if we're going to go into the market in January, that's what I would like us to go for. Right, we're going to go to a quick ad break. I'm sure that was for Jamie's book. Go buy it. Right, so starting 11s. Let's have a look then. So we've got Adam and Statman Dave leading the table, then Doc Josh it, and then John, you're leading it. Jamie making his debut on previews for this season. People who've made their debuts have actually done pretty well. 10s and 11s all over the show. So I'm going to come to you first, Jamie. What sort of starting 11 do you reckon United are going to put out against Bournemouth? Do you think we're going to see much rotation?
Not much. I mean, in the one I've done for this, I've dropped Lukaku for Rashford. But I tell you what, I've done that because that's what I think he should do. I don't think he necessarily will do that if that makes sense. Because of course the other option, and I don't actually think he's ready to start yet, is Ibrahimovic. If you're going to drop Lukaku, I just think it's gone a little bit stale. And with regard to the rest of the side, the other one I think he may well drop is Herrera for Fellaini, because it's not Herrera's fault, but he just, and I'm not saying Fellaini can do this, but Pogba can run a game for United, yeah. Herrera can't. Now, Fellaini can't, but he does give something a little bit different. I know you both are going to say, yeah, it's a bit of a sort of a bit rudimentary, but I think A, Mourinho likes him and trusts him, and B, I do think I know it's not the United way, and you're not going to like it, but I do think he does get stuff done for you at the moment in what is a sort of a little bit of a hiccup. You know, with form the City game. But I say that, but then you went to Arsenal the game before. Well, this is what must be frustrating for United fans. You went to Arsenal the game before, and you absolutely, did a number on them. It was a really good performance, maybe the best I've seen. Under Mourinho, and then you turn up at Old Trafford on your own patch and do that. So, but the rest of the team probably picks itself. I mean, you're sort of shuffling the back four a little bit at the moment. It's always this thing, and this goes back to who you should get in January or just generally. You've got this thing with Martial, Lingard, Rashford across that sort of three behind the striker. But yeah, I think he probably wants to get Ibrahimovic in the team sooner rather than later because with his personality and his quality, you'd like to think that give you a bit of a sort of shock. Into a bit of better form again.
John, what is your starting 11 for this week? Are you rotating anybody?
I've actually dropped Martial. I went David De Gea at the back four of Young, Lindelof, Smalling, and Valencia. I went Herrera, Matic with Lingard at the 10, Rashford on the left with Mata on the right, and Lukaku up top.
I can see people wanting to drop him, and I understand that, but I think sometimes you have to play players through their bad patches. I don't know enough about Lukaku's personality to know how he responds to that sort of stuff. But we saw this similar last year. There was a big stretch that Zlatan went through where he wasn't scoring. And we were saying, you got to rest him because you could see that he was actually affecting how we played. And then he ended up getting injured, didn't he? So I don't think it's tiredness with Lukaku, but I think, maybe a little break. Maybe like Fergie used to do, just send them away on holiday for a week. Just let them clear their mind a little bit. Maybe that's needed. We've got some comments from you guys. We're going to come to them quick time. Tribal RA says, Everton was his level, end of. But you got to think that he was pretty much the golden boot at Everton. And look how bad they are now without him. So I disagree, respectfully. Ivsney says, give Marshall or Rashford a chance to play up front. Gabriel says, he needed a rest like 4 games ago. Maybe we thought it was all down to the lack of Pogba. Mr. Oxley says Lukaku makes the same mistakes with Belgium. He's been scoring with Belgium, so I'm not sure about that one. BuzzTech says, mark my words, Lukaku will get a hat-trick. So, all over the place in the comments there. And I want to pick up on something Jamie just said while he was giving his 11 out as well. He said the performances against Watford and Arsenal was good, and I thought those was the template for how to play against City because those was quite counter-attacking. And I thought the 3 at the back and the 2 up front, the 1 and the 1, was probably how we was going to do that against City. Didn't do it. Maybe that might have had a different effect. I don't know. Right, let's go into the opposition then. Jamie, what do you know about Bournemouth?
Well, kind of probably what everyone knows about them because I don't see loads of them. Eddie Howe seems to, he's the sort of manager at that club who wants them to play well. They'll go through patches of, not playing particularly well. They've got a bit of pace up front, but, no disrespect, as you always have to say in these sort of sentences, but United should be beating them, properly. About 3-0. And, I still don't think the title race is over. If you're a United fan, you must be looking at it and thinking, well, it may well be, and maybe it is. But this is why what's frustrated me about this game on Sunday against City, because I thought there was a chance to sort of actually give them a test that they've not really had apart from Liverpool before Mane got sent off in that game. I don't know if you remember that one, when they were 1-0 down and went on to be 5-0. So, going back to Bournemouth, it should be a 3 point. I'll tell you what, if you lose that, which I don't think you will, then there's going to be some serious ink written about it.
Why would you even put that out there, Jamie? John, what do you know about Bournemouth?
I managed to catch a bit of their last game against Crystal Palace, and I thought Jermaine Defoe definitely doesn't look like the Jermaine Defoe before he left the Premier League for MLS. And when he first joined MLS with Toronto, he looked really poor. He looked out of his pace. None of that. But I think he sort of reinvented himself now that he's joined Bournemouth. Sunderland, he was kind of showing it here. He's sort of working a little bit more intelligently off the ball, and his finish, the first finish being an exquisite finish off the top of Speroni's head. So I think Jermaine Defoe, he's one of those players we need to kind of watch because he's one of those players we can contain, but at the same time we need to make sure we keep an eye on him tightly because you never know what can happen against, especially when the rhythm sort of turned this way now that we've suffered a defeat against City. Not that I'm saying it was a total capitulation, but we should be, like Jamie said, we should be able to take a resounding victory against these guys.
All right then, John. You think resounding victory? Give us your resounding victory score prediction.
I'm going to go 4-0 again.
Oh.
I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to do it.
Jamie, what's your score prediction?
4-1.
4-1. Be nice to
United.
see a few more goals at Old Trafford, wouldn't it? Anyway, you lot, let us know your score prediction and who you think is going to score it in the comments below. Thank you for joining us. Go and check out the link below for Jamie's book. Go give John a follow on Twitter, and we'll see you tomorrow with all the matchday coverage as usual on Full Time Devils. See you later.